It's your call.
Hi, good evening and welcome to the Somers Town Board regular meeting. Here to start at 7 o'clock on Thursday, February 10th, 2022. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Heidi, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard J. Clinton.
Here.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirica.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rob Serrano.
Here.
Still getting new.
John. I do that all the time.
Rob Morrison.
Wow.
Too much, Rob and Rick, too close.
Too close. Let's start here. Is anybody here for public comment? Sure.
Do we open?
I make a motion, we open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay.
You guys do whatever you-
Oh,
If you could just please state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Judy Rapp, and I live at 6 Boxwood Drive in lovely Lake Lincolndale. Oh, how's that? Do you want me to repeat?
sure.
My name is Judy Rapp, and I live at 6 Boxwood Drive in lovely Lake Lincolndale. My family has owned that house for 26 years, but we own 2 other houses where I grew up. And that was since 1958, when we bought our first house in Lake Lincolndale. During the years, we've seen massive changes here at the lake. While it's nice to welcome new neighbors and see a community thrive, it's equally sad to see the destruction of nature that development entails as mature trees are cut and meadows and fields plowed over. One of the charms of Lake Lincolndale is the remaining small pockets of wooded areas where birds and wildlife thrive, adding to the biodiversity and health of the land. Many, many residents enjoy daily walks, and these forested parcels greatly add to their delight. I only found out a few days ago that someone would like to buy the small wooded 40 by 100 feet parcel between myself and my neighbor at 10 Boxwood. Ideally, I would like to see this be kept by the town of Somers, where nature, wildlife, and native plants, all under attack in both Somers and the world, are left undisturbed. Once these special areas are destroyed, they never come back. I only have a small piece of property, and if the town does not retain this lot, as I sincerely hope it does, I would then like the chance to buy it, to preserve it in its natural state forever. And looking to the future, all of us, wouldn't it be nicer to be remembered for what we saved rather than for what we've destroyed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I would like to ask if I will be given a chance to ask questions about this matter when you speak of it later in the meeting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes?
Sure. I'm fine with
Okay,
that.
because then I have
Not a
a,
lot of people, you know.
okay, so I have a
Not a
question that
conversation.
I'll ask later when you
Yeah.
bring it up. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and for future, usually what we do is we ask you to speak when that item comes up in the agenda. This is usually for things that aren't on the agenda.
Okay,
But
thank you.
It's a good heads up.
Anybody else?
Can't top that.
Okay.
For the same purpose, is that,
Okay.
all three?
Yeah, we're all doing.
Oh, four.
All four of you.
All of you.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
one more, you can play
That's a
basketball.
crowd in this building.
We'll
Okay.
get through the other items
Close.
quick.
Close.
I make a motion, we close public or public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Yeah.
Aye. Okay, let's head on to approval of minutes, January 6th organizational meeting, January 6th work session, January 13th public hearing, January 13th regular meeting, January 19th special meeting, January 27th special meeting.
Second.
Motion, all right,
Motion to
second,
approve.
all in favor?
Aye.
Department reports. Patty, can we have the department reports, please?
I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, bureau of fire prevention, parks and recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance. I also have to announce that DeChico and Sons, located at 266 Route 202, is applying for renewal of their liquor license.
I'm sure many people are happy to hear that.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So, go ahead.
I made a mistake. Never mind, I'll talk to Patty afterwards.
Okay. Head to the business of the board, for the town board. So I'd like to give Somers an update here for COVID-19. As of
That's what I wanted to
today, February 10th, there is 86 total cases in the town of Somers, and there is 8 new ones. So very much moving in the right direction since the holidays, where we had over 1,000 total cases here in Somers. So we're moving in the right direction. So that is really good to see. Next, we have here the Bureau of Fire Presention, proposed changes to Chapter 158 of the Somers Town Code, Vehicle and Traffic. And I believe we have Rob Russell here to talk about this a little bit as well today. And
If you can hear me, I'm here and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Hey, Rob, is there anything new from last week that you wanted to just mention, or you just want to kind of give an overview of what we have here on the table?
Basically, it's nothing new since last week. It's just a memo to change the town code over to list the lots by parcel numbers, in addition to what they're commonly known as at the time of the adoption of the code. A lot of the parcels are listed by business names that are no longer the owners of that property. And we just think it's just more in keeping with the standards across the state that it's listed by parcel numbers, so that as the owners change, it doesn't affect our ability to enforce it.
Go see what your kid wants.
More familiar with that.
And
Yes.
Rob, so the purpose of this would simply be it's more efficient when providing emergency services or when you're conducting code enforcement. You're talking about a parcel lot rather than a name that once was applied perhaps to the property. Am I right?
That's correct, because the parcel pretty much stays universal unless there's a subdivision, but the names change.
Names change, but parcel lots don't.
So we did this last week, and I forgot my notes from last week. There was a reason that we carried it over to this week, and I'm trying to remember what the reason was.
It had to do, I think it had to do with the firehouse.
Do you remember, Roland? Was it? I thought we were looking for something. Shame on me for forgetting my notes.
So we had looked at possibly adding the no parking component into the code for in front of the firehouses.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Which is adequately covered at the moment. It would be just if we did
Right.
future firehouses, that would need to be added, but we don't need to address that at this point.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
Rob. I knew there was a reason we carried it over.
All right, Rob, thanks, man. So,
Yes, we got it. We adjusted
So-
for that.
yeah, so a motion to schedule a public hearing
Second.
for 3:10, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the only other thing, sorry, that's part of that I forgot to mention is that we would be adding the new parcels such as DeChico's and stuff that were not originally included in the code, to have those listed as well by parcel number.
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So that brings us to review referral responses with regard to the request to purchase 2 parcels from the town of Somers, lots 5.13-1-21 and 5.14-1-1 to the rear of 20 Loonsbury Drive. Is anybody here to speak on this today?
You guys are not for that. You guys are for B.
You guys are for bid.
Okay.
Okay.
But this is the one, is one of these is like 10 acres?
Yeah, one of these
One of them
is,
is big.
one of them's big. I think one of them is 10 and the other one, believe is The lot size, 21, probably 1.5 acres, and lot 1 is approximately 10 acres. So it's a
Yeah.
big piece of property.
So I'm just, again, I would agree with, two questions. Did we determine that there are deed restrictions on them? I know Dave Smith said he was looking at that.
Say again?
We would place them?
Yeah.
Okay. So Roland, before we sell them, we could place deed restrictions on them, correct? So they couldn't be built on, or no?
Yes, the habit in the town or the custom is that you, when you deed out any property, that you require the property owner, assuming it's a contiguous purchase,
Can you turn that up a little bit, please?
that they have to merge the property into their existing lot. And other than in an accessory structure, they cannot build on it nor subdivide it. But I question how the
So they
town
could
would,
put a shed on it.
they can put a shed on it, they could put a swimming pool on it, but we don't allow subdivision once it's merged, and they can't sell it. It becomes part of their main lot.
So that's the
Now,
one. Go
10
ahead.
acres, 10 acres is a considerable amount of acreage. I wonder how the town ended up with that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do we find ourselves?
I don't know if it's wetlands or,
But I think there's regulated wetlands there.
So it's not buildable till it.
It's not.
That's what Steve
Correct.
Wolf said.
It's unclear if lot 21 could be built on, correct? And supporting a septic system.
and then my only other comment is I would agree with our assessor that some of the amounts that they're offering seem low, especially for 10 acres. I think for the 10 acres, was it 5,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood, where our assessor is saying even a non-buildable lot should be more like 3,000 per acre.
Mhm.
So I would,
No, I think not.
Yeah. I'd be more inclined to keep it.
yeah, I mean, 10 acres. Is it landlocked?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to act on it tonight.
No, I agree with you. No,
I want to go take a look, because if it's not
it's-
landlocked, 10 acres is.
it would seem to be worth more. The Open Space Committee
We
advised against it. So
Yeah, but
at this time, I don't see any reason to move on this.
Yeah, to your point, understand the history of how it got here. Are there any, is it wetlands? Are there restrictions? And we can kind of think through, something here. You guys are interested in buying it?
Not this
No,
one.
not this
No,
one.
they're
Not this
interested in
one.
the. bo-
They're
in the-
talking about big. They're for big.
In the Boxwood.
Correct.
So again, for part A, I would,
I'm
yeah,
not looking to
No,
move on this.
and I'm guessing part B, I would think is probably going to be, I would say similar.
uh,
Well,
But, we can
let's hear
also
what they have to
consult
say.
Westchester Land Trust and those
We could.
guys, just to see.
Yeah.
Would be interested also in helping out in this situation. They preserve land in perpetuity. Maybe not this size, that small, but
right.
it's within their bailiwick.
Well, I say, I don't see any reason for us to allow that purchase. And then we may want to investigate other things of what to do with the land, but I don't think we should go with this, no.
Obviously, the committee, the Open Space Committee obviously does not want to,
Right.
which in the,
Yeah, they're not looking to,
No,
Open Space Committee is not looking to sell
Right.
that, so.
Okay.
I think it's in our best interest to
well, especially because the assessor,
keep, yep,
we have a great
to keep it.
assessor who says
it's actually worth
it's worth more.
So
So I don't see any reason to sell
I'm not, yeah.
If you need to sell land, sell that land, not the.
it.
yeah, we don't need to sell any land.
You're okay with this one, but not the other one.
You know where it's buried.
Way over on the other side of town.
Can't see it from our street.
So that's, so I think we're all in,
I would think.
in favor here, not to hold on to the property for ourselves.
Certainly
Okay.
at this time, yeah.
So that brings us to the hot topic of number B, letter B here. The request to purchase 3 parcels from the town of Somers, 8 Boxwood Drive, 9 Acadia Drive, and 13 Acadia Drive. Anybody else here to speak on this?
Well,
I know you had a question, right? And Judy, correct?
yes, Judy.
Judy, can you just say it one more time?
Judy Rath,
And then your address.
6 Boxwood Drive,
6 Boxwood Drive.
Which is right next to,
right next to the small parcel that somebody wants to buy.
Right.
And then the other 2 parcels are just down the road from where I live.
Okay.
Okay. So I've learned that the person who wants to buy the 2 lots on Acacia is also the person who owns the lot in between them. The fear is that if these 3 lots were to be combined, couldn't this person then build 1 or even 2 houses there? Because while we understand there are deed restrictions can be altered, can't they? And if this is allowed, despite claiming many times, 3 or 4 times I counted, in the July 8th meeting where this first was brought up, I watched it yesterday, and the previous supervisor claimed many times that you, meaning himself and the board, always have the best interests of us, the town of Somers residents, and that you always try to protect us. So how would this be protecting us? And how would this be in our best interests? Because Lake Lincolndale, as you know, is a unique part of Somers, where houses were built in the 20s and 30s, like my previous house was, very close to other houses. So you would be subjecting the many residents who live in close proximity to these proposed lots for sale to the appalling noise of construction that would probably go on for years. Also, if these lots were donated to the town at some point, wasn't the point of donating them so that this land would not be disturbed? That is what I would like to see with those parcels, and certainly the lot right next to me. I would like it to stay, all of it, as woods. However, if you do decide to sell it, I would also like the opportunity to buy it, to preserve it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Judy, did you say that you've spoken to the person who's making this proposal?
No, I don't know who the person
We just all assume.
Oh, okay. I'm just, it's on,
It's us, it's common sense who's trying to buy it.
but they're not connected, right? So I mean, aren't there 2 different places?
Yeah, there's like 2 over here and then there's a house and then that's what we're looking at.
So, what I
now.
don't get.
Across from my house.
Yeah.
another from my neighbor's
Sorry, my
house.
friend, can you come up
And
to the
then
mic,
the other
please?
one-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can
Yeah, I'm
you come
sorry.
up, please?
Yeah, sorry.
And just state your name and address for us.
I'm just trying to figure out why
Yeah.
someone would want.
Well, you guys did say you were going to go down and take a look at it, so I guess you never did.
Separate.
That's what you said. I'm Rick Fawcett from 8 Acacia Drive. So my whole concern was, that's the main reason I bought the house. If you see where we live, the woods, and then what Judy was saying, how you come in, all the houses are so close together, but the further you go back, you have more of the woods. And that's the main reason my wife and I bought the house, was because of the privacy. So we just assumed who's trying to buy it. And over the last few years, he starts taking down trees in the back of his house. Now I can see Boxwood Road itself from where I live in Acacia. And it's really not what you want when you buy a house. You think you have all this privacy and all these trees, and little by little. So if he's the one that's going to be buying it, then we know he's going to be taking down all the trees. And if you actually see the 2 on, was it 9 and 13 Acacia? It's hundreds of trees, and it's just beautiful. So I just don't want to see it destroyed.
So my question again, because I did go over there.
Okay, well, thank you.
And maybe I missed it or I don't see how they're.
What did you say? You said what? I'm sorry. I missed you.
I said, maybe I did go over there
Yeah,
and am I missing something? Because I don't see how they're three. Why would one person, or am I missing
I
something?
wish
They're
we
around
had
the corner.
that map to show you.
No, we do.
Oh,
but you said
Then-
something that resonates with me. He's taking down trees. I mean, he shouldn't be taking down trees without permits.
well,
So
he may have permit,
that's
but
what you-
no, this is on his property.
Still.
Well, you still.
No, I know. No, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. I just,
Well,
I just, it's the privacy that's just, we're losing it. And then last week you took down 3 more and I'm seeing more and more of Boxwood when I never even saw my neighbors before. Now I'm seeing them. It's just. All right, let me
So it's
see.
these 2 lots, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
these 2 and that one.
All right, I'm confused by looking at this.
There's a
Plus I don't have my.
Yeah. You can make it small. There's occasion in Boxwood.
Rick.
Yeah, definitely.
It's on the.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So
Notes. So she's talking here. He's.
John.
I don't know who's looking
I
to
got,
buy
I
it.
mean, yeah, I mean, there's really, I don't know what else to say. I just don't want it to be, yeah, we're just against it, you know?
Rob's the only one who say, I don't know who-
I don't know.
Oh, we did, that's right.
I don't know. Right, so it's a rectangular block. Right?
And then my other
I do
question
know.
is, if he does buy it, what can he do to
I
it,
don't remember. I remember now. I touched upon this.
right?
Yeah.
Is he gonna put up houses? Is he gonna take down the trees? Is he gonna, because like I said, we all assume who's gonna buy it. And, you know, the kids have dirt bikes and they're on the tractors and it's just not what I
I mean, I don't see,
spent $400,000 on a house for, you know?
So what's the offer price for this one, item B? Roland, did we get an offer for an amount?
That'd be from the assessor.
It'd be from the assessor.
well, no, that's from the assessor, but we got
But the assessor tells us what it's worth.
a
Yeah,
request
you're right.
from last year.
From their perspective slash our perspective.
Yeah, Jim, we got a request like 6-7 months ago. This is how old this is. I mean, from my standpoint, it's number one, just so you know, I will say a lot of people do donate property to the town. And as much as we like to think it's to preserve it, and so they don't have to pay taxes on it.
Yes.
That's why they do it. So that's why they try and do that. But, from my standpoint, I don't know what the town benefits from selling it. I don't know, I mean, again, we're not talking $300,000 or something that's
Because even if you go a little further down, because then it turns into like all dead ends, and then there's even more town property. And then what if he buys those and then he goes even further back into the woods and starts buying that?
Yeah.
You know, it's.
No, I understand. It's obviously been vacant forever.
Yeah.
So you get accustomed to the vacancy.
even then, I just
It is
don't-
nice.
Yeah.
We walk my dog,
When'd you move in?
almost 8 years ago,
8 years ago.
7-8 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just don't see what the benefit for the town is. I mean, $5,000 in the scheme of things for our budget and all that versus quality of life
Yeah.
for others. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
How did this get, Roland, is this part of the tax assessor, tax receivers process of looking at
No, somebody came and made
garage
us an
size
offer.
properties?
No, this was somebody made a request to you.
You can make a request anytime.
Yeah,
So they came to us.
They can't.
the town doesn't initiate these.
Did that request come with an offer of a dollar amount?
Well, it
That
would
I
be
don't know.
But, like you say, Tom, this is not a huge amount of money, no matter what.
Hmm.
And so the engineer did not have a, engineering objection to it, but the Open Space Committee did. And, I mean, I don't blame the guy for saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'll buy
And he
it.
is a nice guy.
Because he may want
If
to
we all
expand
think,
if it
the
is
guy,
person.
he is,
We don't
he's
know.
a really nice guy,
Right.
but we just want to
I don't blame the
keep
guy,
it the way it is. It's,
Well, and-
it's really that
but it's a
simple.
town land. And so we want to
And
sell it.
all 5 of you live here.
all.
So I'm
walk-
looking at
all
the
walking
map that
distance.
we have, and I see about 10 houses.
Right.
Kind of in the surrounding area, and 5 of you are here
Right.
who are against it.
Right.
To me, it's more of a neighborhood quality of life thing.
Right.
I don't see anybody here for it, other than obviously the person who wants to buy it. So I'm,
And we still have that house that's 2 blocks away that's still under construction.
that's the one that's been under
It's
construction.
forever. It's Tyvek.
Is that the one
That's
down
all-
at the end?
every day I
It's down
pass
like
it.
at the bottom of the hill,
Yes.
Yeah.
sort of right there. Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
still,
maybe the guy's going through a hard time, hey, but
but that's
it's
been
just,
that's been
let's
getting
put
built
some
for, I
siding
don't know
on
how
that
many
already,
years.
it's kind of an eyesore. It's been a long time.
Yeah, no, I know.
So if we see that in 2-3 other parcel, who knows?
I mean, look, everybody wants to sort of keep when they're happy.
Right.
I want to keep everything as it is.
Right.
Things change.
Just don't want to know.
And there are trees. That's why there's town ordinance about how many trees and what kind of trees, how
Right.
large the trees are.
Right.
So I moved into my first house, and the real estate agent said, yeah, right. The nice thing about this is next door, nobody can build.
Right.
So you got light land, which was very nice. And
That's
of
the
course,
main
someone did
reason we
build.
bought the house.
And then
That's the
someone-
main reason.
And someone did
So-
build right next to us.
Yeah.
But that wasn't town property. That was someone else who found
Right.
a way.
But that's different.
Right. So that's different. But I understand how you feel.
Right.
Now, it turned out to be great. They're wonderful neighbors
Right.
and everything like that.
Right.
But what happened, oh, man, it's right next to us. So I understand what you're saying.
Gotta do a little
And,
more investigation.
it's not his property, it's town property.
Right.
So I would say, why would we
Because
sell
even
it?
John and myself, John lives right across the street from the other piece. And we clean the leaves. We mow the lawn that's across the street. We planted seed that's right along the road, trying to keep beautiful curb appeal. And that's on the other side of the road. That's not even our property, just trying to make it look nice. And we're out there together cleaning up the
Kids
leaves.
ever play there? You
Yeah,
play
come on up.
there.
Come on up.
Please
up
come
to-
on up. No.
Come up to the podium, state your name and an address, please.
I think we're
Hi,
going to be. in
my
your-
name is Botir Sagdulaev. I'm a resident to Acacia Drive. It's right on the road leading to that lot. It just was brought to my wife's attention actually today by Judy, and my wife here she's a physician at the Caremont right across the street. So we live in the town for 10 years, but been resident in Lincolndale for the last 2 years. And we have 2 small children, and our neighbors across the street, Roberts, they have 2 small children too, and street above us on also 2 children, and they always run around. The primary reason we bought house there is because in Heritage was hard to play with kids. It's
Yeah.
not kids-friendly environment. We lived there for 8 years, and we were always challenged. Even they have kids designated pool, it's still, you can do Marco Polos and all this. That's a primary reason draw us into the Lincolndale.
Yeah.
As we were shopping around, we were walking around, it's a walking neighborhood. Everybody has dogs, and we walk with dogs, and everybody does it. And the last summer, there's a good example I give you that last summer, right down next house to us on 19 Olive Drive, Louis, I don't remember his last name, was build a new house. They just new house erected. And they took wires a couple of times down, and it was very unsafe for children to play because they were zooming in and out, building the houses. And to me, the biggest concern is that if something like that to happen in the lot right down the street from us, and my neighbor Ernie Strada, he would be here, but his daughter is getting married tomorrow, so he couldn't make it. So, we're always concerned about this sort of issue because it's kind of close to the end of the main road, and something like this, if it were to happen, it would be a big downside to us because for us it was primary reason to move in. And the second issue that I want to raise is that if this is a town property, public property, what it is, how is it some person can reach out to town and buy it as opposed to have it? I would love to have a chance to make an offer.
Well, that's why we put it on the agenda
That's
to
why we put it
talk
on the
about
agenda.
it. That's why you're here.
So, well,
So you
that's
wanna
a
make
good,
an
I kind
offer?
of
But
learned.
no, because
Well,
what I'm going
then,
to suggest.
then we'll do
How
it.
much
Let's
you
do
got?
it transparently, open up and see. I would love to buy more space in the
course.
area and.
Well, we're not going to, I don't think we're going to get into an auction or a bidding
Yeah,
war.
but
because we don't
before
want
making
that.
decision to sell to someone else,
Here's what I'm going to
everybody would like
suggest.
to have a chance.
Mr. Supervisor, I think the sense of the board
Mhm.
for letter B is not to sell it. And my suggestion would be is that we pen a letter or make a call to the person who
Right.
requested it and say that at this point, the town is not interested in selling and move on.
Yes, so choice one, for me, would be not to sell it because it's a safety issue to us and a privacy issue and kids-friendly neighborhood.
that's what I
If we
just
were, if decision were made to sell, then it comes to second option, then. let us
We're
have a
at, we're at
chance.
option one right now.
I think we should
Okay.
just end it on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Simple.
Wait.
Then we go home, have dinner.
You know, just, are you saying that kids do play there though? I'm really
Well,
interested.
not in that lot, but around.
Is it playable on there or no?
No, that property, no, we don't enter it, it's not our property, but we play along the road, along Acacia Drive.
Yeah.
It's around and around.
No, I know,
Okay.
but I tell you, my purpose in asking that is that where I grew up, there was an empty lot near us where we played like football, basketball, and everything else that we possibly could, which made it really interesting. So, and fun. So I'm always sympathetic to when there's a place just empty space because kids don't have empty space.
So
That's
there
why
is
it's
a zip line on that lot, right? It's across from your house, is that? the-
Right across the street.
a zip
Yeah,
line.
there is I think there is a zip line, right? And on one of the trees.
It was supposed
So
to be a
I'll-
soccer field, then it turned into a zip line.
Wait, it's a zip line on town property?
Yeah,
It's on his, which next to
that's
the
what
other
they're
property
showing
he
you.
wants to buy.
What's a zip line?
A zip line is when you go down.
Oh, a zip.
Yeah,
So I'm going to amend what I said. I think we should, again, call the person and tell them that we're not interested in selling, but I think we should also send a building inspector and assistant building inspector out there to look at the property, because if there is a zip line going over a town-owned piece of property, there is a liability there that I
hope
would,
It goes over the town property. I hope it does. Please.
but I think that's what we should look at, because I agree with Richard, playing football or kicking a ball around is one thing, but having a zip line is a little bit different.
So
Yeah,
Roland,
for
do we-
insurance
do we
purposes, yep.
just take this off the agenda or do we have to vote?
Yep, it's done.
Yeah, so we're,
No, it's a request. We're
it's
not.
a request. We're not
We're not
gonna entertain
entertain
a
it.
request.
Yeah, you don't
So
have to entertain it.
We're gonna keep B for the town. So we're not,
And also the one that's right next to my house, not just the
They're
two.
included,
that
all
could be
three
built.
of them.
all three are
All three.
included.
Thank you.
So all three are included.
We didn't forget about you. We didn't forget about you.
That would have been a shame if you came up and did, carried most of the water and then we forgot about it. We didn't do
Yeah,
yours.
that's right. That's right.
One was sold, sorry.
So thank you for coming out and being a part of the process. We
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. So let's
And we'll
move.
get somebody to come out and look at that, mainly because I'm worried now.
Yeah, but it's a zip
He's a
line.
really nice guy.
No, it's nothing about that.
He is.
No offense.
I'm
Right.
not trying to like.
No, it's not. It's
really
just-
throw him under the bus, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's a whole nother
That's a
issue. It's
whole-
just more of a,
It's a liability
town
issue.
property liability issue.
So we'll send somebody out there to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
So let's move on to number 4 here, consideration, adoption of resolution opposing New York State proposed legislation, S 8006 from the Senate and A 9006 for accessory dwelling unit law and the transit-oriented development.
Do we want to give a summary?
Yeah,
of that?
I'm kind of give a little summary here for everybody. So before we start discussing consideration of why we're adopting this resolution. So I just want to fill the Somers community in. So there are 2 sections of the Education, Labor, and Family Assistance legislation, S from the Senate 8006 and from the Assembly 9006, that is set for funding under the fiscal year 2023 executive budget that was introduced recently by Governor Kathy Hochul. So Section AA for the Accessory Dwelling Unit Act of 2022. Now, this state proposal bill was introduced by New York State Senator Peter Harcum. So this part will require local governments to authorize the construction of accessory dwelling units by local law and impose reporting, regulatory, and enforcement requirements. Separate another thing, $85 million to support the creation of rehabilitation of accessory dwelling units, ADUs, which includes backyard cottages, attics, garages, and basements. So let me take another step further and talk about Section EE, which is the Transit-Oriented Development Act of 2022, to amend the general town law in relation to transit-oriented development. So this part would require local governments to authorize the construction of residential dwelling units within the proximity of transportation centers. There is no funding component to this section of the executive's proposal. I'm just going to go into a little bit further as well, talk a little bit about the accessory, the transit-oriented development here. That would be located 1/2 mile, any New Jersey Transit, MTA, Metro North, or Port Authority rail station located between 1/2 mile or 60 miles from New York City. Cities, villages, and towns would not be permitted to enact regulations that effectively prevent the development of 25 dwelling units per acre. So what does this, right? So talk a little bit about it as well. This proposal, right, does to the town of Somers is the intent to usurp a local government's ability to regulate land use by removing local government's traditional home rule. It is not a one-size-fits-all piece of legislation. This type of legislation has consequences. No one has thought about how it will affect the police department, the fire department, schools, parks, library, our senior population, traffic, septic, sewer, watershed, and privacy. Our infrastructure and environment under this bill would be under attack. Let's not forget to mention what the look and feel of this town would change drastically. So the people were here just a few minutes ago and they said, so I know I was elected, when I was elected supervisor of this town, and I believe the board here, when they were elected, was to uphold our town codes, our zoning laws, and to do what's in the best interest of the town of Somers. Our resolution here makes it crystal clear that the Senate Bill S8006, the Assembly Bill A906, the ADU and TOD has written, ignores home rule, a statutory foundation for all local governments in the state of New York. Now, Roland, did I miss anything here with this? If you wanted to add a little bit more.
No, you said it extremely well. What I would propose for the resolution that's in front of you is that every time that we mention the transit-oriented development, we add in Senate 8006, and wherever we refer to it as provisions, we will delete the word provisions and put in the word act. And that will conform to our present knowledge of what these laws consist of. I suppose the only other thing that's important to note is that the way that this has been proposed now is it's part of the governor's budget, and it was part of the governor's message, which, and this is permitted under the New York State Constitution, that she can add, the governor's office can add acts, which automatically would be brought into law once the budget is adopted. There would be no separate legislative process for these two acts. They would be adopted automatically. And the budget, as we know, is supposed to be adopted before April 1st of each year. So the pressure is really on all of your constituents to write to their representatives mentioning that this law is an overreach and should not be adopted, and to insist that the governor take it out of the budget message. That would be what the constituents need to do. And the time is short. And of course, as you know, your representative is one of the sponsors of this legislation, Peter Harcum, and it's urgently important that the constituents write to him directly.
Good advice.
Is there like a public comment process in this? I mean, this is coming out of left field from where I'm sitting.
The public comment is whatever you create. There is no process to it, but the pressure is on the constituents to communicate their opposition to these two acts.
But what about at the state level? I think that may
Well,
be.
yeah,
what
I mean, this all has to
Councilman
happen at the
Sirico is
state
referring-
level, and it's going to essentially mandate, I mean, in a very, onerous way, they're going to just change the way everything's been for the last 100 years.
Yep.
And nobody's come to us and said anything.
Nope. There's no public hearing process whatsoever.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Roland, but I think to your point and the supervisor's point, not only is this a violation of home rule, not only is this an overreach, but it's really, the process is appalling and egregious. If you can't candidly go to the public and say, I've got this idea, I want to go through the legislative process, and it's such a great idea, I'm confident and I can do that. No, instead, you want to do these backdoor maneuverings by putting it, slipping it into the budget of it was $150+ billion budget. Okay, this could easily be overlooked. And I'm
$200
rather
billion.
cynical about the way this was approached.
Roland,
I agree.
can you just, characterize some of the things that might occur in a way that, our public can understand this? I mean, what's going to happen with the TOD? What does that mean?
Well, the TOD means that any land within a half a mile of a transit station, whether it be train or a bus depot, bus station, a covered bus station, any land within a half a mile would be permitted to have up to 25 units per acre of housing. And that, my understanding is really motivated towards the MTA being able to build over its parking lots up and down the rail corridor with multi-level structures housing apartments.
So that's an interesting idea. So if we were to take that to its logical conclusion, we could say that any 1 acre parcel, let's say in Purdy's, could have a 25 unit building on it anywhere they want. And let's say you had 3 units per floor, you could put an 8-9 story apartment building in the middle of Purdy's without the infrastructure of water or septic to facilitate that.
Right.
And that would be perfectly okay according to this well-conceived proposal.
So just one other thing is that they're building a garage up in, was it the Purdy's train station? So the concept would be on top of that garage, they could put multifamily housing.
Right. And that, to Bill's point, they could go a half a mile towards Lake Purdy's, find a acre of property there in Lake Purdy's and build a 25 unit dwelling unit
So you said,
without having to worry about
yeah,
the infrastructure capabilities.
Right.
Roland, you said train or bus station.
Covered bus station
So a covered bus station, if I have a,
anywhere.
what does that mean?
That's unclear. Does that just mean one of those little cubicles that exist?
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. Or if it's something more akin to what White Plains has, which is a whole depot. It's very unclear what is intended there. But think of St. Joseph's parking lot.
So,
I'm not sure what school district that's in, but maybe in the, I don't know if that's in the Somers School District. That might be
North Salem.
North
that
Salem.
might be North Salem.
It
But
is.
think about that investment by Metro North and what they could do there if they were allowed to build over the parking lot.
Hence why I believe North Salem has already passed this.
Yeah, no, they haven't yet, but they will at their next meeting.
Oh, okay.
So, Roland, about the accessory dwelling units. We have an accessory dwelling unit ordinance, right?
Yep.
But
Correct.
what is, no,
This supersedes it.
This would be, the new law, if enacted, would supersede your local law. You would have to adopt the model law of the state and rescind your local law.
what would that look
Which is-
like?
Which has worked, as you know, very well and is administered by your zoning board.
Yep.
So let me just say this. On the face of it, it seems like it's something out of Saturday Night Live or something, because there must be a rationale that we're missing. So I read the 17-page, I didn't understand what it was. So I read the 17-page proposed legislation, and then I didn't understand what it was. So, so I did a little research and asking some people who know more than me. So we have, like you say, an accessory apartment ordinance in town. Any building, any house before 1992 can have it in. their house, not after 1992, which at the zoning board, apparently, they always ask why 1992. I don't know the reason. So the good side of accessory apartments is if, you know, somebody wants to build something for their parents and attach it in the garage or an extra part of their house, that's a good thing. The part about this that seems to be, it makes me incredulous, like I gotta be missing something. So now anyone could build a cottage anywhere on their property and none of the local ordinances would apply. I mean, building setbacks and things like that. I gotta think somebody didn't do their homework, or else we're just missing the whole
I
thing.
think
Oh, there is a setback. in the- There is a setback in the
No,
state law.
I get it.
It's
I'm
4
saying
feet.
that. I know.
But
There
the
is a setback in the state law, gentlemen. It's 4 feet. So 4 feet from your neighbor, you could put up a cottage.
What about, I can't even put up a shed 4 feet from
I
my
can't-
neighbor.
So, I mean,
Right.
It's a 15-foot setback.
I mean, this is what I mean. Like, who could propose this law?
Well,
It's
I'm
bizarre. It is bizarre.
getting a sense we're against this legislation, so
Oh, but-
I think we
but
need
I'll
to.
tell
But
you-
you're asking like super logical questions, but this is being pushed on us.
Unless,
Like,
right, there's something we're
that-
not getting.
And this is where you're seeing the pushback across Westchester County.
And the state.
Bipartisan.
Now,
And it's
on
it's
Monday,
very much bipartisan.
and that's a good thing because you don't want these things ever to be partisan. So on Monday, Senator Harkin is having a meeting with the supervisors.
Correct.
Can town board members join into that? Because I mean, I just kind of have my mouth open.
If
like,
we have that,
how
then
did this
it'll
go?
be probably a huge Zoom. We could always see. I mean, maybe one representative.
I just like
I
to
don't know,
listen.
but I know he's making time out of his schedule, Senator Harkin, to
Yeah,
to-
and I, you know, I know
to
him.
talk
and
about this.
He's an extremely bright and reasonable person. So I got to think I'm missing something or he's missing something on this. Because if there's something that says, so because some people who are, like I was talking to a guy who's got a 1995 house, he'd like to build an accessory apartment. He said, maybe this would be a good law for people like me in town. But so I go, yeah, okay, I can go with that. But then all the other things that are described here, just seems like it's not a good law.
So that's the question. And so to your logic, to your point, right, Rich? So, you know, that's one of the questions that I could ask, right? What was the logic behind this?
What do you
What's
think?
the logic behind this?
I mean,
I'm sure that'll be asked.
I'm sure we'll get out of the air.
If it's
Well,
not, I'll
you
make
do-
sure I ask it.
You do recall that last year, Senator Harkin first proposed this bill as a standalone act. And the co-sponsor, I believe, the name might have been Engelman, Senator Engelman from New York City. It might make sense in New York City, but it makes no sense in northern Westchester.
There are parts of the proposed legislation that apply to any city of more than 1 million, of which there's only one in New York State. So
Right.
parts of it are certainly aimed at New York City. And like you say, maybe that does make sense. To propose housing, I know Long Island is short on housing. They're looking for proposals. I know there that the gentleman is looking for a nomination to the governor, opposes this, and he is a Democrat also. So not everybody is in favor of this. It's not along partisan lines. To build more accessory apartments along railroads might be a good thing. There would have to be something you'd have to follow about sewer and water. But you say, Roland,
There's nothing in there.
there's nothing in there about it.
There's nothing in there. So that's where it takes the toll onto.
No, there's only a reference to, with respect to the TOD, there is a reference to compliance with seeker. So yeah, you have to go, you have to go through seeker. So water and sewer somewhat would be covered there.
Impact on schools is technically part of that too.
Yes.
Technically, yeah.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, with this, I mean, our police department, fire department, right? Schools. I mean, yeah, the population, the traffic.
you know,
I mean, we're talking about a huge.
But this puts the state in the local zoning business.
Well, for example, ours said no more than 800 feet. That's the accessory apartment, which has worked out, like Roland says, pretty well.
And we've had-
to obliterate that without consideration with public hearing. It's just hard for me to believe it. Somebody's missing something.
And, you know, there are examples of where accessory apartments are added on, to, like, you know, garages are
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
You know, parents move in, they've maybe made extensions that are attached.
That's a good
So-
thing.
It's a good thing. And, you know, the existing law has accommodations.
Yeah.
This sort of says there's no single family zoning any longer.
That's,
You could just put multiple homes on structures on a plot.
Yep.
that is a matter of concern, of course, to which we would hope to have further explanation as to the rationale. If there is a rationale to it.
So why don't we
So
adopt it?
I'd like to, make a motion to adopt resolution opposing New York State's proposed legislation S 8006 and A 9006 for the accessory dwelling unit and the transit orient development.
Second.
With
All in
the
favor?
amendments that I propose, please.
With the amendments that Roland had proposed.
So I got a second here. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. Okay,
Well, if they make a change, if they hear people and they make a change, we should come back and revisit it then. If they make a changes that would seem to take away all the reasonable objections that have been raised tonight,
Well, I'll be interested to see what they say in the meeting on Monday.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
That'll clear,
Make sure.
hopefully clear, well, probably be clear as mud, but hopefully clear it up.
well,
And, you know, as a corollary.
If we can, I would like to listen in on that.
Yeah, as a corollary,
Yeah, ask
we
if you
need
have
to
one
get
more.
some sort of a, campaign to get information out to our constituents that they need to to write.
that's to Roland's point. I mean, if we said before, just to reach out to your constituent and write a letter for your,
Maybe we could put something on the website.
yeah, we'll do that tomorrow.
Let's see if I can-
If you remind me tomorrow.
PSA.
So let's move on to Parks and Rec. There's no additional business there for Parks and Rec, right? Financials, authorize a 2021 budget transfer and modifications per email from Robert Kehoe, Director of Finance. I get a motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Highway, there's no additional business. All right, personnel. We have a couple current vacancies, but I'd like to make a motion to appoint Paul Padavani to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term ending 12/31/2023 for that vacant spot. Can I get?
For the completion of.
For the
current
completion
one.
of, and then, yes.
Yeah.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There is a couple other vacancies too. One is Partners in Prevention, a 2-3-year term ending 12/31/2022. and then
23.
2020, and then
Oh, Partners in Friends, sorry.
Partners in Prevention, and there's another one, Partners in Prevention 2, 3-year terms ending 12/31/2023. Upcoming vacancies. Well, I'm gonna let him talk to
Kathy Cucciarella? Okay.
first. Yeah. I don't think it'd be an issue, but I think.
No.
have a
Well,
talk.
with Paul, you get him on the.
He'll be there for next week.
Next week at the meeting.
Correct.
Next week. This has some time.
That's some time. We're looking to fill the zoning board for one. Another upcoming vacancy, term expiring in 2021, Parks and Rec Board, 2 3-year terms ending 3/9/22.
I know at least one of those, I know at least one of those current members is looking for reappointment. I don't know about the other one.
Okay.
Which board, Tom?
Parks.
Parks.
I know Chris McCormick is interested in continuing.
Great. Acknowledge the promotion of Mr. Richard Hurdle from PTA labor to full-time road maintainer at the annual salary of $54,184, which he will receive 90% of for the first 6 months at an hourly rate of $23.445. Then he will receive 95% after 26 weeks upon completion of a 1 year of service. He will receive the full salary rate per memo dated January 24th, 2022 from Nicholas DeVito, Superintendent of Highways, effective February 1st, 2022. Contingent upon the successful results of a physical Drug test, references, background, and driver license check.
So just as we're commenting on the highway department, I do want to say that, we left here last Thursday night, or actually we didn't leave, we were all home. But we had finished our meeting last Thursday night.
He was.
And Friday morning, we had an ice storm, and then over the weekend, we had other stuff. Nick and his crew did a fantastic job. They were out there for probably more than 24 hours, keeping the roads safe, keeping people up to date on social media. So again, nice job to his crew. I know they went through a lot of salt, and
They did go through a lot of stuff.
just excellent job in a week that was probably not a lot of sleep. So good job to Nick and his
Yes,
crew.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. 4, authorize the hiring of Daniel Sheehan as Parks Groundkeeper, grade 4, step 2, at an annual salary of $45,100 in accordance to the CSEA contract per memo dated February 3rd, 2022 from Steve Ralston, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, effective February 14th, 2022.
Added 2 to that agenda.
Yep. Motion to authorize the hiring of Daniel Sheehan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And then,
Authorize the promotion of Charles Dameyer
Meyer.
from maintenance mechanic repair to assistant building inspector, grade 7A, step 3, at an annual salary of $71,511 in accordance with the CSEA contract appendix B per memo dated February 4th, 2022 from Thomas J. Tuma Jr., building inspector, effective February 14th, 2022.
Now, who's going to assume his duties?
I'm assuming he's still going to do it.
I don't know. That's what I want to know.
Well, he has 6 months, right? He has to pass all of the.
Yeah, I know, but once he becomes it,
That's
The
gonna be,
thing
it'll
is-
be an open space.
I mean, because he's
Well,
been a phenomenal
he's been phenomenal.
hire. I mean, and the stuff that he's been doing, working on the
There's always
different,
stuff to do.
right,
There's always
and he
stuff to
does it. So Mike, I agree
Right.
with Rich. Is he going to be able to do the same stuff, or we're going to have to go?
We're gonna probably have to go out and find.
Wait.
So we're going to have,
Or will he split it?
I'm not against this because Chuck's a great employee, but I'm going to say, so we're going to have 3 assistant building inspectors now. And a new guy coming into,
Coming to take over what.
well, I don't even know what Chuck's old title was, but other than fantastic.
Maintenance
Maintenance mechanic.
Oh,
Listen,
maybe,
this is,
thank you.
so for Chuck, this is
People tell you.
pretty, this is an awesome promotion for him.
No,
right?
no, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
He's number 1 on the list right here.
It's good. I'm the same with, and you don't want to hold somebody
No.
back just because
No.
they're so good at their job. But Chuck has done a phenomenal job
Yes.
since we brought him on. I don't know how many years ago. I mean, anything you ask him to do, he does it. He's excellent at it. I think he's a master carpenter.
Yeah.
So again, I just wanted to get the full picture that we're going to have 2.5 assistant building inspectors now, and we're going to have an open spot for maintenance mechanic.
We are.
Which is a
Okay.
big increase in that department,
Yes. That's another conversation.
unless, unless the plan is,
Well, is this in the budget?
It's in the budget.
So we
It's in the
planned.
budget. We've planned it. I mean, it was in the budget.
Okay.
So
you know,
This has
unless
been
they
planned
say the way they're organizing is Chuck says, hey, I can keep doing the stuff I'm doing while I'm doing that too, and I'll get a raise. And I
So we
know,
all- we-
just
we-
wondering if that's a
I'm
plan.
interested. No, I want to improve it. Because again, I think no matter where you put Chuck, he's going to be an incredibly valuable employee.
from the conversation I've had with Chuck, and I think that to your point, I mean, the man has gone above and beyond
Yes, he
his
has.
call of duty here for the town of Somers and the years. Number 1 on his list. I mean, I think this is a
Oh, yeah. we should
promotion
not-
for him. Is
Right.
that-
Yeah, what I'm going to
Just question what's
suggest
going-
is,
How are we going
No,
forward?
well, as you know, right, in the sports world, right, there's always someone to hopefully fill the spot of someone who was a great player at one time.
so what I like to do is, again, we're getting kind of into a personnel conversation, but I'm fine with approving it. Charles great, he's going to do great, but I'd also like to, before our next meeting, and I'll talk about it offline, have an executive conversation.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Executive
That'd be
session
great.
conversation.
That'd
Okay,
be great.
so I'd make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Good job, Chuck.
Acknowledge the resignation of Mr. Peter
No.
Good luck.
Knopf as member of the Somers Library Board of Trustees effective February 4th, 2022.
Yeah, that's too bad. He hasn't, it's only been about, what, a year?
Yeah.
He's been on that. It seemed like a good guy, and you hate to lose somebody like that.
I think he was the treasurer, wasn't
I think that's true.
Yeah, so,
Planning and engineering, there's no additional business there for tonight.
so actually, so my guess is that there will be an opening
They will fill
for
that.
somebody on that. So if you're interested, serving on a library board,
Right.
you can check with the town or the library and they'll tell you who to contact.
Right, the Board of Trustees will fill that for the rest of his term.
Police, there is no additional business. The consensus agenda, does anyone have anything further they'd like to discuss in the consensus agenda? We've had these on here for some time now. Anybody has anything there?
Nope.
All right, so motion to adopt the consensus agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
So moved.
Aye.
And that takes care of it for this evening.
Just in
One
April-
follow-up.
Just in April, we're gonna just have the meeting on the 21st.
Yeah, we talked about that. We approved that
Is
last
that
week.
Holy Thursday?
It's Holy Thursday.
We're having two meetings, right?
We're having two meetings, one on the 7th
Right.
and then one on the 21st.
21st.
Okay,
14th was Holy Thursday.
14th,
Yeah.
23rd.
One other thing, we were talking about contact information, public information, State Senator Pete Harkem's email address is harkham@nystate.gov. That's HARCKHAM@nysenate.gov. FYI.
Anybody have anything else?
On a more positive note, I'd like to say go Team USA. The Olympics are going on right now, and I hope we crush it in terms of medals. And before I forget, happy Valentine's Day. So much.
Yes, make sure you get out there and
Our
get the
beloved
flowers.
town.
I'm gonna narrow that down to Happy Valentine's Day, Carol.
Yeah.
Let's not get too.
Happy Valentine's Day, Kat. Yes.
Happy Valentine's Day, Rita.
Patty, anything else?
No, we're all good.
No. So motion to close regular meeting Thursday, February 10th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So
Aye.
moved.